In this edition of Careers That Matter, I'm joined by Kerri Jackson of Concert Properties. Kerri, what exactly is your job?
I am the head of our property management group. So essentially, all of the day-to-day operations at our apartment buildings and commercial buildings are the responsibility of my team. So we make sure that preventative maintenance is done, we engage with tenants, with residents, and we collect rent and all the leasing as well. So it's a pretty comprehensive.
So you have to advertise, bring in new tenants and the whole.
Absolutely, yeah. So my career's mostly been on the residential side. Just in the 4.5 years I've been with Concert, it's expanded to include over 12 million square feet of commercial space, which has been an interesting learning. But yeah, I really appreciate that, being able to make sure that where people live and work, it's maintained and they don't have to worry about it.
So how many buildings and how many units fall under your responsibility?
Yeah, so we've got about 19 apartment buildings between BC and Ontario, and that represents about 5,000 apartments, and that is purpose-built rental, so they're always going to be apartments. And then we've got roughly 13 million square feet of commercial space, and so that's, we've got some smaller office buildings, and then we've got some larger industrial buildings of, 1 million square feet. So that's all adds up together to be that 13 million.
So you have to understand the complexity of that portfolio, each one of those properties, what they represent, the markets that they're in.
To a point, a point. I have a team that is, on the ground and that they're at the buildings, daily, weekly, monthly. But yeah, it is, there's, just like you said, working and operating in different markets in different cities, there's definitely, even within British Columbia, we've got portfolio in Victoria as well as the Lower Mainland, and they can be very different in how you manage and how, you structure the teams.
How many people in your team?
115. So yeah, and that's roughly 50-50 between British Columbia and Ontario.
So your job isn't necessarily running this building or that one, it's running the teams.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's the part that I love, getting an opportunity to really mentor and coach and bring the best out of people. And that's why I've been in the business for so long.
Well, what does a typical day look like for you? Or is there such a thing as a typical day?
I think probably more of a typical week. I would say, starting Monday, I have a touch base with each of the people that directly report to me just to really understand, what does their week look like? Is there anything that they need support from? And then, there's various touch points with throughout that week for various things, as well as collaborating with other departments within the organization. So we work really closely with our asset management team, as well as our accounting team. So just various meetings on that piece. But I would say it's really that stick handler and just making sure people have the resources and that any obstacles are taken out of their way.
You clearly have a community engagement role as well. What does that look like?
I think with that, just ensuring that, we've got good relations with various municipalities. I also am very engaged with industry partners. So Landlord BC, for example, is, an organization that really supports landlords and those in the rental market. And so I sit on the board of directors with that organization. And then as well, we've got FRPO, so lots of acronyms, Federation of Rental Property Owners of Ontario. And then there's the Canadian Federation of Apartment Associations. And so with that, I'm going to actually be co-chairing the conference this April that's going to be held in Vancouver. So that's exciting.
So you're also involved in helping to organize that as well. Let's go back to the beginning of your career. You graduated from high school. Did you say, I know what I want to be. I want to be a property manager?
I wanted to be a doctor, like probably many individuals. So I did my undergrad in life sciences. And in third year, I remember feeling a little bit burnt out and thinking, I don't know that I have another, 7+ years in me to do this. and my passion for it was kind of waning. I happened to be in one of the student union buildings, and I saw a program. They were advertising for both MBA programs as well as Masters of Health Association. So I started to do a bit of inquiry into that. And so in fourth year, I took economics, so both micro and macroeconomics as well as a business course, thinking, well, at least that gives me those prerequisites. And ended up going the MBA route. And so I I did a 2-year co-op MBA, considering I didn't have an undergrad in business. And so that gave me an opportunity to gain my business experience as well as work a couple of semesters to gain some practical experience.
Where did that lead you to when you entered the job market?
In my MBA, I did in Windsor, so of course in the automotive industry, because that's exactly where leads you to property management. But yeah, I was in quality control and then moved into human resources, and so I spent a couple of years in Windsor, met my husband there. We both worked in the automotive industry, and this would have been early 2000s when for anyone who's from Ontario knows that there was a big downturn in the automotive industry. And so we got out of Windsor in 2004, and that's actually where I got into property management. Funny enough, my parents worked in property management, and so I got a glimpse into what it meant to manage a building. And so I started reaching out, and because of some of the management experience, while I was going to school, I worked as a supervisor at Ford. And so I think it was giving me good management experience. And so I applied and started directly as a property manager. But that took us to Eastern Ontario. So we up and moved our life up to Ottawa from Windsor.
And ultimately, you wound up out here on the West Coast.
Yes. So with the company I started with, there was an opportunity to move to Calgary to work in our Western Canadian division. And so we, wanted to take the opportunity. We like to ski, that sort of thing. So we moved in 2009. And then in 2013, I was offered an opportunity to move to Vancouver. And so we took that and ran with it.
Well, you get offered those opportunities because you've done well. If a young person is looking at you right now going, wow, what an interesting route you took to get to where you are, and you appear to enjoy your job, like that you like the work.
Absolutely.
So to that young person who goes, well, I think I want to be like you, what would you say is a personality trait that you have that you think has played an important role in the way in which you moved towards the next opportunity that came your way, whether it was kind of forced upon you or whether or not you were invited to it?
I think, as a young person, you don't have to know everything. I think that's something that we all, it's okay to ask questions, or it's okay to say you don't know. For myself, I think being empathetic is really important, especially as you grow in your career and you start to have people that are working under you. So I was very young when I started and as a manager, and I would say that pretty much everyone who worked for me was older than me. And so it took a different type of approach in that I really didn't have the years of experience to say, well, just do it because I have this experience. It was more just really trying to bring the best out of people and bringing them along. I think having my parents, managing a building and seeing what they went through on a regular basis, I was able to really understand, what are some of the challenges, and then how do I help those individuals that are working for me, overcome some of those. And I think at a very, early point in my career, recognize that my role isn't to tell people what to do. It's to really remove the obstacles and to just let them do their thing. And really it's about managing the outcomes and giving people the goalposts. And I think also recognizing, what are those goalposts? I think when you've got someone that's younger or newer within the organization, maybe a little bit narrower, you don't want to give them too much because you want them to be successful. But I think as you move through and you recognize, it's really opening that up and letting people do what they do best, and not giving them too much guidance, and let them go.
Do a little sales pitch on the sector, because I know that there are great opportunities, but it's not a sector that many people go, oh yeah, that's what I want to do. But I think that sometimes these become overlooked opportunities.
Absolutely. Well, I think, what I always loved about it is that every day is different. You may have something come up maintenance-wise at a building, and so you need to go and troubleshoot and understand, and how do you mitigate this problem? You've got, leasing, and depending on the market conditions, you're going out and you're really evaluating, what is new and what is happening in the market, and how do you differentiate yourself from your competitors. I think what I really love as well, though, is there's such a network within, it's such a small industry, that there's really great opportunities to meet people and to collaborate. And I think at the end of the day, we all very much want, to be successful and to provide the best experience for renters. And so, I think maybe in my early days, it was a little bit more competitive, but I think now it's a lot more collaborative, and people, lessons learned and all of that. I mean, if you want something where on Sunday night what your week's going to look like, it's probably not the job for you. Because, you may have the best laid out plan, and then Monday by lunchtime, it's all thrown out the window. There's a little bit of travel depending on the organization you work for, or at the very least, you're getting out of the office. You can't manage buildings from an office. And so you are at the very least getting out, and you're walking those properties. I think for myself as well, I really have no background in construction or, maintenance, but I've learned a lot, and now I can throw around some terms like a flange and stuff, and people are impressed.
It's a great job.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you for giving us a glimpse into your work and your career path, and arriving at such a great place.
Thank you.